it is an end of an era. On Friday, Toys R Us stores across the country will close for good after 70 years of business.
Imagine stepping through sliding glass doors into a rainbow-colored wonderland. The smell of new plastic and the sight of floor-to-ceiling shelves filled with action figures. Your heart races with excitement. For millions of children, this wasn't a dream. It was a trip to Toys R Us, the ultimate toy paradise. With its jolly giraffe mascot Jeffrey, and the jingle that many of us can still sing, "I don't want to grow up, I'm a Toys R Us kid."
I don't want to grow up, don't want to grow up. I don't want to grow up, I'm a Toys R Us kid.
The store became synonymous with childhood joy. Behind the gleaming aisles and happy kids, a storm was quietly brewing that would eventually bring this beloved toy kingdom crashing down. Toys R Us wasn't always a retail giant. It started with one man's simple idea. In 1948, a World War II veteran named Charles Lazarus opened a baby furniture store in Washington, D.C., hoping to capitalize on the post-war baby boom. By 1957, he noticed customers were clamoring for toys, so he transformed his store into one dedicated entirely to toys. Lazarus even styled the logo with a backwards R to look like it was written by a child, a playful touch that captured the brand's spirit. What began as a single store soon grew into a toy empire. By the 1980s and 90s, Toys R Us had expanded across the United States and beyond, becoming the destination for kids' birthdays and holiday shopping. At its height, the company operated 739 US stores and over 750 international locations. Truly a global toy kingdom. The flagship store in New York's Times Square featured a giant indoor Ferris wheel and life-size toy displays, heralded as the biggest toy store in the world before it closed in 2015. In those golden years, walking into a Toys R Us felt like entering Santa's workshop. The brand even birthed its own cultural identity. Generations proudly called themselves Toys R Us kids. It seemed like this magical toy wonderland would last forever. No kingdom remains unchallenged forever. By the late 1990s, Toys R Us began facing fierce competition from new rivals. Big box retailers like Walmart and Target started offering popular toys at cheaper prices, luring shoppers with one-stop convenience. Suddenly, parents could pick up a Barbie or a Nerf gun while doing their grocery shopping, undercutting Toys R Us on both price and convenience. The once unstoppable toy store found its market share being nibbled away. Internally, the company struggled to keep up. In 2000, Toys R Us made a fateful decision. Instead of developing its own robust e-commerce website, it partnered with Amazon to sell toys online. The deal seemed forward-thinking at first. Toys R Us would be the exclusive toy vendor on Amazon's fast-growing platform, paying Amazon about $50 million a year for the privilege. But this partnership soon proved to be a grave misstep. It prevented Toys R Us from building its own online presence during the early 2000s e-commerce boom, effectively handcuffing the company's digital growth. Worse, Amazon learned valuable insights about the toy market and then started allowing other vendors to sell toys on its site, undercutting the exclusivity. Toys R Us sued to end the partnership, but by the time the agreement was terminated, precious years had been lost. The company's online strategy was woefully behind, just as the new generation of parents was increasingly shopping with a click instead of a cart. This early stumble in adaptation to the internet age was a warning sign of the trouble ahead. Operational missteps didn't end there. In the early 2000s, customers noticed that Toys R Us stores themselves were losing their shine. Store layouts remained cluttered and outdated, and customer service was lacking. Mark Cohen, a retail industry expert, later described the chain as guilty of serial mismanagement in failing to innovate the shopping experience. The very thing that once made Toys R Us special, endless aisles of toys and huge stores, began to feel overwhelming and impersonal to harried parents. To save cash, Toys R Us cut back on basic upkeep. Floors went unpolished and stores grew dusty as cleaning services were trimmed. Leaky roofs and broken fixtures went unrepaired. giving some locations a run-down feel. Staffing was slashed to the bone. Incredulous shoppers reported wandering through cavernous stores to find only 2 or 3 employees on duty in a giant 40,000 square foot location. With morale and resources low, customer experiences suffered even more. The company that once set the gold standard for toy retail was now struggling to provide clean, well-stocked, and inviting stores. The debt payments, about $400 million per year in interest, were an anchor pulling the company down. An expert later noted that without the debt, Toys R Us might have had the profits and flexibility to modernize and thrive. Instead, the LBO gamble by the new owners backfired spectacularly. It drained Toys R Us of the very funds it needed to fight its battles in a changing retail world. Even as it struggled under debt, Toys R Us faced another challenge. Children's play habits and the retail landscape were rapidly evolving in the new millennium. Kids were increasingly drawn to video games, smartphones, and digital entertainment, trends that were transforming the toy industry. While Toys R Us carried video games and electronics, it was slow to reinvent its stores as experimental destinations to compete with the instant gratification of online shopping and digital play. Other retailers began offering in-store demonstrations, interactive displays, and events, recognizing that brick-and-mortar stores need to offer more than just shelves of products. Toys R Us did launch an initiative called the Toy Lab concept in 2015 to make stores more interactive. But by then, the clock was ticking and resources were tight. On the e-commerce front, Toys R Us had never fully recovered from its early misstep with Amazon. By the 2010s, Amazon and Walmart online toy sales were soaring. While Toys R Us's website was playing catch-up, a true transformation plan was announced in 2014 to finally integrate stores with online and improve the experience, but execution lagged. Every year that passed, more tech-savvy millennial parents turned to Amazon Prime or other online options for Christmas shopping, often finding lower prices and free shipping that Toys R Us struggled to match. The company was essentially stuck in a squeeze, bound to heavy debt that limited investment in innovation, and facing competitors that were faster, cheaper, and more in tune with modern shoppers. As one industry analyst put it, Toys R Us couldn't wrap their arms around the changes in consumer behavior, making the chain's decline inevitable. The once mighty category killer, a retailer so dominant it had driven many independent toy stores out of business in earlier decades, was now on the brink of becoming a category casualty of the new era. By 2017, the endgame had arrived. Years of declining performance and the crushing debt left by the buyout pushed Toys R Us to a breaking point. In September 2017, the company filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection, hoping to restructure debt and revive the business before the critical holiday season. Executives believed that, with a good Christmas sales boost, they might steady the ship. The world watched with bated breath. Could nostalgia and a last-minute turnaround save the toy giant? Unfortunately, the 2017 holiday sales came in far below expectations. Many toy suppliers, wary of the bankruptcy, tightened terms or refused to ship products, leading to emptier shelves at the very moment Toys R Us needed a win. Consumers too were skittish about buying gift cards or doing layaway at a store that might not survive. The hoped-for Christmas miracle never arrived. By early 2018, it was clear that Toys R Us could not emerge from bankruptcy. In January, the company announced it would close about 182 US stores to cut costs. But it wasn't enough. Then came the devastating news. In March 2018, Toys R Us told a bankruptcy court it would liquidate its US business entirety, meaning all remaining stores would be sold or closed. The chain that once brought joy to so many would cease to exist on American soil. In the spring of 2018, waves of stores closing sales swept across the country, and one by one Toys R Us locations shut their doors. Shoppers flocked for one last visit, snapping photos with Jeffrey the giraffe and hunting for going out of business bargains under banners screaming, "Everything must go." It was an emotional time, not just for employees losing their jobs, but for customers losing a piece of their childhood. Roughly 30,000 workers were left without employment after decades of the chain's dominance. Many stores held farewell events, and social media lit up with heartfelt tributes. One particularly heart-wrenching photo went viral. Jeffrey the giraffe, the lovable mascot, seen in an empty store aisle with a small suitcase in hand, as if waving goodbye on his way out of a deserted toy paradise. Taken by an employee in the final days, that image captured the collective sadness and nostalgia of millions. "I don't want to grow up, but maybe it's about time we did," one fan lamented, noting that the end of Toys R Us felt like the end of childhood innocence. On June 29, 2018, Toys R Us closed its last remaining US stores, exactly 70 years after Charles Lazarus opened his first shop. The company's website left visitors with a heartfelt message. "Promise us just this one thing. Don't ever grow up. Play on," the message read, echoing the famous jingle and thanking customers for generations of memories. It was a simple but powerful goodbye. In that moment across the country, countless adults, Toys R Us kids all grown up, felt a lump in their throat. An era had ended. In the aftermath, industry analysts would debate what exactly killed Toys R Us. Was it Amazon's rise and the Amazon effect? Undeniably, e-commerce changed the game, but many pointed out that nostalgia alone could not save a retailer stuck with 20th century habits. Was it the $5 billion debt from the private equity takeover? That certainly acted like a milestone, preventing needed investments and pushing the company into crisis. Or was it simply that children's tastes and retail trends changed, and Toys R Us failed to change with them? In truth, the downfall was the result of all these factors. A perfect storm that overwhelmed an iconic brand. The Toys R Us saga has since become a cautionary tale in business circles about the danger of heavy debt and failing to adapt in a fast-evolving market. It also highlighted how even a beloved brand can disappear if it doesn't balance heart and head, the joy of the toy experience with the realities of modern retail. As one Twitter user poignantly noted during the 2018 closure, seeing Jeffrey with his suitcase was like realizing we have all grown up and left childhood behind. In the end, Toys R Us had to grow up too. It couldn't stay a kid forever, as much as we all wished it could.